I grew up right in the era where I think CD burners were still like hundreds of dollars, hundreds or hundreds of dollars.
I still remember getting my first CD burner. I think it was like 1999, and yeah, it was like $200. But hey, I saved so much money. I burned $50 worth of CDs.
Yeah. I never have an intro for these either. I just kind of start them off. Like, literally, it started now. I just started off, and I just hightail through, and hopefully it comes out okay.
Yeah. That works.
Yeah.
It's like, why need an intro? If people are listening to it right now, they know what it is. It's not like, oh, hey, here we are with Coopertom, because it's like, it's right there in the title. You don't need it.
Yeah. I mean, I'll still give an introduction, you know. Yeah. But it's so funny because every time, normally I'm just like, welcome to the Smoke Stop Podcast. And then I'll go on and I'll be like, I'm smoking, I don't know, a fucking Cuban cigar from some foreign country. And then I'll introduce my guest. And I'm drawing a blank.
I am smoking a cigar.
Yeah.
Wrapped by Fidel Castro's own human hands.
Yeah. Legitimately. Anyways, welcome to the Smoke Stop Podcast. I am your host, Stony Hyena, and I am here with, I would say, a more legendary YouTuber. Is that correct?
I guess. I don't know. I mean, if you do it long enough, you just reach that level, I guess.
Yeah. If you don't know who this is, it's Coopertom, and I actually felt bad because I didn't know who you were at first. And then as soon as I left the VR chat game, I was like, oh my god, the picture, where is it? The birthday, oh god. I completely forgot.
Yeah, it's funny, like, there's people that are like, oh, you're that cat from the first birthday image, and that's all they know, and it's like, yeah, but that was only like a couple years ago. That's just like the tip of the iceberg.
Right. And I felt so bad though that I had no idea who you were.
Well, it's funny because people will see that avatar in VR chat and they see the gray and whites like markings, and then they're like, I seen you somewhere, man. I seen you, and I'm like, yeah, you probably did.
Did you browse Reddit in 2018? I mean, if fucking
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was one of the most bizarre things with that photo. Like, it's just because it leaked out of the furry fandom and into like mainstream things, and people were finding it. And one of the weirdest things was, it was about a year later, and at the time, my girlfriend Sai Bree, she was the other gray cat, the saber tooth on the left side of the picture. Right. We broke up about a year ago, but at the time we were still dating, and for some reason we were cruising around, and I own a DeLorean, and for some reason I was going to stop at the dollar store for something. So we pull up to the dollar store in the DeLorean, and this man and his daughter come out, like, are getting out of the car, and they see the DeLorean. And when he starts talking to me about the car and everything, and I'm like, oh yeah, this is cool. And this conversation just kept going and going and going. And we walked into the dollar store, continuing to talk about the car. And then the man's daughter was with us, and she wanted to show something on her phone. And my girlfriend that was seeing like what she was scrolling through on the phone, and she was seeing a lot of furry pictures. And then she's like, oh, are you like a furry? And she's like, oh,
I wonder how awkward it was for that girl too. Are you like a furry? And her dad just like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah. Well, the father knew too. But what was really ironic about it was, like, they're coming up from Delaware or something. They were towing a trailer. Their wheel broke down, like their wheel got a flat. So they're waiting for their tire to get fixed at the shop. So they're killing time at the dollar store. Then they see these two people on DeLorean, start talking about the DeLorean. And like the night before, the daughter showed her father the cursed photo of us around by the birthday cake. And then, like literally the night before as they're driving up.
Right.
And then we're like, oh yeah, we're like those two cats in the picture. And she's like, what? And I'm like, yeah, like, that's us. And she's like, I just showed my father.
The head's in the back. She's like, oh my god, holy shit.
Yeah. It was just such a weird coincidence. Like, you show your father this weird picture, and then, like, the next day you see two people with a DeLorean at the dollar store, and it's those two people. Like, it was bizarre.
That's insane. So, yeah, I did hear throughout that story that you drive a DeLorean. What year did, oh, fuck, what's the name of the company? DMC?
Yeah, the DeLorean Motor Company, yeah.
Yeah, what year did they go out of business? 83, 84?
Yeah, they, they went out of business, but technically, you know, like that store Big Lots?
Yeah.
They're like a liquidation company, and they buy up all like a bunch of stuff. And they ended up purchasing DeLorean Motor Company at the end of 83 and finishing the remaining cars. So the one I have is an 83, so it was one of the last ones off the line.
Right.
But technically, at the time, it was owned by Big Lots. So my car was built by Big Lots.
Yeah. That's a story if you ever have kids, that's the story you gotta tell them. Yeah. Bought a rare car that was built by a grocery store.
Grocery store, shit. Man. Not a lot of people can say that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot to say. So, today on the Smoke Stop Podcast, I'm smoking pipe tobacco. It's a cherry blend.
Mm.
Very nice, very tasty, very sweet, very tart. They're like tart cherries. They're like Traverse City, Michigan cherries. And I'm also drinking a glass of whiskey. Jameson. Triple distilled. On the rocks.
Nice.
I drink alcohol, I think. That's the best way I can explain it.
Yeah, I never smoked a pipe. I ironically smoked a couple cigarettes at a con. It usually used to be at Furry Connection North for some reason. It was always that con, and my friend King Gord, he smokes, and then I'd be like, yo, give me a cigarette, and he'd be like, what? You don't smoke? I'm like, yeah, I know, and I'd just like burn through a cigarette and go, I don't get this, I don't get it, and then he'd be pissed off because I just like wasted one of his cigarettes.
Yeah,
but
I remember the good old days growing up.
My uncle
trying a cigarette.
My uncle smoked. My uncle smoked pipes. So like I know that smell. It smells so good. Like I like that smell, but I don't think I could ever like I can't figure that out. I don't know the whole smoke, like how you puff it and stuff. I have no idea.
Yeah. It's hard to understand, but if you do it, you'll be like, oh, okay, that's a lot simpler than I thought it was going to be, you know? Cigars are the same way, you know? They actually smoke the exact same way as a pipe. It's a puff. You don't inhale, you know? You do it for the taste and the aroma, you know?
Yeah, you let the thing, like, smolder and stuff, you know? Like, just, like, burning through it like a cigarette or something.
Yeah. And I mean, I know people that smoke cigars and pipe for nicotine buzzes, and I'm like, if you're looking for a nicotine buzz, you might as well just smoke a cigarette or do dip. One of the two.
Just get the job done quick.
Yeah. Well, if you're looking to get the job done quick, then definitely do dip, because that hits you instantly. I remember the first fucking dip I did. I snuck it into high school. It was like the first day of like 11th grade. Stick it down your pants so they couldn't search you, because then you could sue for sexual harassment. And you're like, what are you gonna do? Pull down my pants, rapist? Haha. And then then you pulled it out after school, put a dip in, and I remember my fucking stomach hurted for the entire day, because you're not supposed to swallow that shit.
I do remember seeing kids in high school with the dip. Like, they were like, oh, no tobacco, but like they were so quick about hiding it that they, like, the same thing, the teachers couldn't do anything, but yet there was a big bottle of spit like on the desk.
Yeah.
Like they were like,
how the fuck did this get here? Why is it brown?
Like Houdini.
You're right.
It's really weird Coke.
You want a sip? Oh, I've heard horror stories about that too.
Yeah, that's always backfired.
Yeah. So one thing that I had to do a little research, because I literally found you in like a day, and I was like, oh fuck, who's this person? Okay, god damn it. The picture. And then just a couple seconds ago we talked about the picture. And then I was like, okay, DeLorean. We talked about the DeLorean. And then I was like, fuck. And then I just remembered, you play synthesizer, question mark?
Yeah. I'm not like a crazy virtuoso kind of guy. I mean, I just kind of noodle around on synthesizers and make weird sounds and layers and pads and things like that.
Right.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
What model do you play? Or year model?
It's depending on if it's a good deal and how I can get my hands on it. That's what I play.
Yeah.
I used to go to the music stores back in the 90s and stuff when I was like a teenager and everything, and I would go in there and play with everything that they had, and you could tell like I wasn't gonna buy anything because the crap was like thousands and thousands of dollars back then. And then, but I kept like a mental note of like, oh, this is cool, this is crap, this is cool, that's crap. And then like a couple of years ago, I had a Yamaha DX7. I had that for years. I got that from a pawn shop. Right. And the guy who bought it didn't know what it was. He thought it was just like a regular like Casio that you got at Walmart. And he's just like, oh, I got a keyboard for sale. And I'm looking and I'm like, dude, this is a Yamaha DX7, man. Like,
were you saying
like,
that in your head? So he's like, I'm gonna bump the price up now.
No, yeah.
You think it's really
just like, I'm like, oh, geez, it's only got like 16 sounds in it. And he goes, yeah, but it's got a cord and it's right attached to the thing so you don't lose the plug. And I'm like, oh, wow, that's great. And I got it for like $150.
Yeah,
and
I've done that before.
It was mint, and it came with a road case. And I was like, and that was my first synth I got my hands on. And then I was like hooked. I was like, all right, I got to keep finding these things.
At least you were smart, you know. You kept that in your head.
Yeah,
I didn't keep that into my fucking head. I went to a fucking like a flea market in Florida with some relatives, and this guy was selling a like pristine condition Commodore C64 old computer.
Oh yeah.
And it was so pretty, and he only wanted like $50 for it because he didn't know what it was, and it worked. And I was like, holy shit, this fucking Commodore 64, it's got the monitor, it's got the cassette drape, it's got the fucking diskette drive. And he's like, oh, this sounds pretty fucking rare. I'll raise that price up from 50 to 500. And then you're just
like,
yeah, you sit there and you're like, fuck, come on, dude. So I walked past him. But
I lucked out. I remember, I used to hit up flea markets and garage sales in the 90s, and that was like, it was a beautiful time to do that because it wasn't like everybody was on eBay. Like now, everything has a price. Like everybody's like, I don't know what this is. Type it on the computer. Oh, that's how much it's worth. Like back then,
it has an economy.
Nobody knew shit.
You know?
Yeah. So I would go around in the same thing. I bought my first computer was a Commodore 64. I bought a Macintosh Classic. I got a Commodore 128. I bought like tons of records. I bought all this stuff back in the 90s. Like people were throwing it away. Yeah. And now you see everyone on like YouTube doing reviews about it, and then you go on Craigslist and they want like $300 for that computer you got $50, you know? So, yeah.
Man, shit sucks, man. Everything has an economy now. Everything's expensive.
Yeah. The internet is making all the things I like really expensive, and I hate that.
Well, a lot of it isn't even based off like an economic standard. It's almost like nostalgia.
Yeah,
like,
it's a nostalgia thing.
Yeah, I remember like right now for video game consoles, GameCubes, like the Nintendo GameCube is so fucking expensive right now. Like people are wanting them for like $190, $290, like insane prices. Because it's just that nostalgia craze. Where years ago people wanted, the N64 or the Super Nintendo.
Oh yeah.
And then years before that, they wanted the NES, because it's just that nostalgia craze. It's
I remember
weird.
about 10 years. It was 2009. Me and my friends were hanging out and we're looking through stuff on Craigslist, and it was like, oh, getting rid of my kid's video game collection or whatever. And the one day we went out, and we ended up coming back with like 6 Dreamcasts and spending less than $100. And now you go on there, like one Dreamcast was worth it. That's working. They want like $90 to $100 for one. It's like. Mm-hmm. You know, it's so weird. Like, even the same thing, you used to go to the mall and you go to like EB Games, and they'd have like the pre-owned, you know, ones in the box on the floor stacked to the ceiling of GameCubes because nobody wanted them.
Mm-hmm.
It's bizarre.
Yeah. It's insane too. Just to see those retro things,
yeah,
where like their market value was like what, like $99, and then nowadays they're selling for so much shit. I remember my fucking grandpa telling me stories about, you know, Gibson Guitar Company, and they were selling guitars when they first launched for like $200, $400, and nowadays they're like $1,000, $4,000.
Yeah, when they start out, they're like, oh, there are some no-brand company.
Yeah, but then again, that was also back in like 1960. And our economy wasn't that, you know, inflated back then as it is now. Gas was like 50 cents a gallon.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. It's weird. Like, there was a weird point. I think it was like in the like late 70s, early 80s, where inflation just went crazy, and like those prices, like everything is different. Like, so when you're saying, oh, I went and got a guitar for $200, it's like, well, yeah, but back then, like, you worked at a place and you got, you know, $60 paycheck a week, but that $60 went a long way. You know, the buying power is completely different now.
Oh, so and during the 80s too, you know, you had the Cold War on your hand, so you had constant nuclear threat from Russia or Soviet Union at the time. So people were like, shop till you drop, and that's where is it California Girls? Is that the slogan that people normally use? Like, oh my God, Becky. Go to the mall.
Hey,
we're shopping.
Go to the mall.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah. It's a weird thing to think about now. It's like, as a kid, like I remember going to, because I used to live up in I'm in New Jersey, but I used to live up in North Jersey, and in the 80s, like that, there was malls everywhere, and I used to go with my mom. We'd go like mall hopping on the weekends, and it was just crazy. Like, there was tons of people, tons of stores, like the malls were packed. It was just such a weird time, like that we'll never see that again. It's just really strange.
Mm-hmm. You lived in New Jersey, or are you still in New Jersey?
Oh, I still live. I'm born and raised in Jersey. I'm still here. I'm down by the Jersey Shore now.
What's that like? Because I've heard so many fucking stupid jokes like New Jersey's the armpit of the United States, but I know it's not that bad. Like,
yeah, that's the problem. Because 90% of the time, the people that don't like Jersey or make fun of Jersey are just the people traveling through Jersey, and that's like on the Turnpike, or you're laid over at Newark. Yeah, and like those spots are, they're industrial spots because that's where the highway is, that's where the transportation is, that's where the factories are. So when you get there, that's all they see, and they go, oh, this must be the whole state, you know. And
right.
The irony of it is, when they were building the New Jersey Turnpike, they deliberately routed it in such a way that the highway went right through like the oil refineries to showcase the industrial aspect of New Jersey for people traveling through New Jersey. Because back in the 40s and 50s, you're like, wow, look at all this industry, honey. We should move here. Yeah, that's their mindset of it. That's why when you travel through Jersey, you see all the factories, because they deliberately made it that way.
Right.
But it's weird. New Jersey is like a microcosm of everything. Like, you go up in the north west, there's mountains and forests and everything. And if you go down south, like there's South Jersey that it feels and sounds like the South. Like, you get down to Margate and like near Atlantic City, like there is this weird southern twang about it. It's bizarre.
And like banjo country. We used to call it banjo country.
Yeah, like Little Lake Harbor and stuff. Like it's like the South. And then if you go into Central Jersey, there's the Pine Barrens, there's the forests, there's cranberry fields, there's farms, there's like
right.
And then you got the beach. It's like it's weird. It's got like everything. The only thing it doesn't have is like a desert. You know.
Mm-hmm. Michigan's the same exact way. That's where I'm from. You know.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like.
People drive by Flint and they're like, oh, there's no drinkable water. And then they go through Detroit and they're like, oh, we're going to get shot. But that's all southern Michigan. Come to northern Michigan. It's nice in northern Michigan. Southern Michigan was the same exact thing. They wanted industry. You had your car companies.
Well, your stuff down there, yeah.
Yeah. Where northern Michigan's super pretty. If you're driving through northern Michigan, I'd fucking recommend going to like Frankfurt or Beulah, those nice cities. Yeah. And if you go to the UP, go to like Munising. That's another really nice, pretty place to go to.
The furthest north I went into Michigan was just to go to Furry Connection North in Novi, I guess.
Is that still open?
They changed. It's now Motor City FurCon. It was. Yeah. They were still at the same hotel. Mm-hmm. But this year or last year they switched hotels and went somewhere else, but still in the same area.
Right.
I haven't gone there in about 3 years.
Motor City FurCon or just Novi?
Yeah. Because I went. It was like It was Furry Connection North, and then I went to the next two Motor City FurCons, and then just the way the scheduling was, I didn't get a chance to go back. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that was a good con. I like that. It wasn't huge. It wasn't small. It was just like it was a nice size.
The hotel.
Yeah. It was just. And the hotel layout was nice. Like the bar was awesome. Like it was a really cool, fun time. Mm-hmm. But I haven't checked it out since they moved though.
Yeah, I've never been to a con. That's still on my bucket list.
Oh, it's something.
It's something.
It's. I wish I had that feeling again of like the first con kind of thing, because you have this whole. You don't know what's going to happen kind of thing when you get there. It's a mind-blowing experience. The first time you go, it's going to be like, oh my God, like it's so good.
Yeah. It's going to be really hard for me though, because I have like the worst social anxiety.
Dude. No.
Yeah.
A FurCon, like you can literally, I mean, there are people like, oh, a little scared of talking, but like the whole attitude and mindset when you go to a con is just to hang out and talk and meet with people. So like 90% of the time you could just walk up to anybody and go, hey, how's it going, blah blah blah, and you start talking, like almost like how it is in VR chat. You can just run into any conversation and just start going. It's really cool.
Yeah, but you saw me next to Rashoni, right? Where I wasn't saying anything. I was just waiting for like someone to introduce me. Like I don't fucking know anybody's fuckers. I don't want to talk to anybody. And then later in the fucking game, what I normally do is I don't have VR, so I can still have like keyboard controls. Is I just jump profusely until I get all the way up to the top of the map, and I just stare down at everybody. I'm like, God, I'm like, you down there, look at me. How did I get up here? I don't know. They didn't finish the game. It's still early access,
Look at me as I glide through the sky, hitting the space bar.
Oh, yeah, and you fucking hear it right away, too. Especially if you don't have, like, push to talk on. You just hear that constant as you're flying up in the air,
Someone must be flying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
VR chat is bizarre, because I joined it about 2 years ago, and that's when that Ugandan Knuckles thing was blowing up, and it was old days. Like it was a free for all. It was like the Wild West when back then, because there was like you couldn't fave avatars, you couldn't fave worlds, you couldn't have a friends list, you couldn't have anything. It was like you'd log in and go back to the same world where you met some cool people and hope that they're there. That was it.
Right. And what's funny too is I was trying to get a lot of my friends who were into Second Life, and I was like, come to VR chat because it's cooler, and especially if you have a VR headset, and a lot of my friends don't have VR headsets, so they were like, no, I'll just stick to Second Life. But then I look at that, like a boomer, because I was on like Furcadia, if anybody
I remember
remembers that.
Furcadia. Yeah.
I still have my Furcadia account to this day.
You can spend $10 and get some wings.
Yeah, legitimately, you could. And it's funny too, because every once in a while I'll still open it up and I'm like, what's going on here? And I'll go through people's bios and I'll read their like F list or something. Or they'll have like their ref posted and it's on E621. You're like, ooh, maybe not. You know?
Yeah, like Furcadia, I think is still technically like the longest running furry social site, I think, or something like that.
Yeah,
now.
94, I think, is when it launched.
Yeah, back then that was mind blowing stuff. Because I remember I went on there, and it was just like, whoa, like this is actually a thing. Like people are on here. It's mind blowing.
Mm-hmm. And there's still people on there too.
Yeah.
You know, it's insane. Now, of course, I wasn't playing it in 1994. Like, I can be honest with that.
Yeah. It was. I think I found furries in like 99. I think.
Yeah.
It was 99, 2000, something like that. And there was like Furcadia and stuff, and I'd go in and chat around. But that was it. I didn't really do anything till about 2009. I just kind of lurked. Mm-hmm. So I was like, but
Yeah, I found it in like 2010, and it was all because of a fucking it was just this stupid fucking video. I'm trying to remember what it was. It was a couple other poppy furs. I don't know if they're still popular though. I haven't heard anything about them since, but it was a Drama Llama and Buddy. Yeah, those two. And Jesus fucking walks in, and you're like, "Whoa, where's this gonna go?" Yeah. You know.
It's funny you mentioned Buddy, because
is that
Buddy
his name? Is that exactly?
Well, that's a character that's played by JD Puppy.
JD, all right.
Yeah, and so the same thing when I was watching the videos in 2000. Like when I started getting like, I was like, all right, I'm gonna start going to cons. 2007, 2008, I was watching a lot of YouTube and stuff, like anything that's like furry related, and I saw this same dog keep appearing in all these videos, jumping around, this brown dog guy, and I'm like, well, who the hell is this? And it was JD Puppy, and I'm like, whoa. So I started reaching out to people in 2009, and then I started following JD, and then I was going through, and this is back then, this was LiveJournal era, so everybody was on LiveJournal. Mm-hmm. And I was going through his posts, and he mentioned, something with his job and blah, 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 blah. And then I was like, I think that's right next door to where I work, because at the time I was working in New York.
Right.
And I go to him, I'm like, hey, dude, do you work at so-and-so? And he goes, oh, yeah. And I'm like, I'm right across the street. And he's like, what? And I'm like, yeah, I'm right across the street. And so we went out and got lunch a couple times, and we'd hang out, and he builds suits.
Wow.
So he built my first suit. The first one, it was like a black and white dog or whatever. And I took that to ACO 9.
Do you still have it?
I still have it. It's
to this day.
Yes, I never get rid of anything, so I still have it.
Welcome to the Mile High Club.
It's sheds. I still have sheds, and
yeah.
But yeah, so Buddy or JD, he was the one that made my first fursuit.
Yeah.
And we used to get lunch and stuff. We drew the character on a napkin in a Chipotle in like an hour.
Yeah, the good old days.
Good old days. It was a simpler time back then.
Mm-hmm. And it sucks too. I wish I was older in that time frame. I was born in 01, so I'm 19. Which is probably a bad thing to say, as I just said I'm drinking whiskey, so that's probably a bad thing to say.
I'm not giving it to you. I can't get in trouble.
But, yeah. I was born in 01, so I started getting into Furcadia back in, like, 2007. Yeah. I was, like, 6, And I remember the first computer we had. It was, like, a Gateway or an HP. It was super old. It was in the era of where computers were normally beige, but they just started going over to like the pure white or like the black,
Yeah. Yeah, that it was. I remember there was it was going to beige. It was beige, and then eventually you started seeing a couple of black computers. And you're like, oh, this is cool. And they add some silver to them. That was like in the 2000s, like early 2000s. And yeah, that was. I remember we got my sister a new computer. I think it was in '99. It had Windows ME. And it was so bad. It was so bad because I
still don't know why. I've used ME. Like later in the year, I launched up a virtual machine. I was like, okay, Windows ME. Is it really that bad? And it was fine. I didn't think it was that bad. But then again, it was fucking what, 1999, 2000?
Yeah, 99, 2000 when that came out. Because I got a computer in 98. And it was a IBM Avativa, and that had Windows 98 on it. And I loved 98. I was so into 98. And then my sister was getting older, and she's like, I want a computer. And my parents went and bought another computer, and it was the Windows ME computer, and it was a hunk of shit. And I'm like, wait, this computer is 2 years newer than my computer, and it doesn't work. Like, it wouldn't go on the network. It wouldn't, like, do anything. It was just a pain in the ass to get that thing to do anything.
Yeah.
And it was just because of the operating system. It was bizarre. Then, yeah, eventually when XP came out, that kind of like fixed everything. There was that weird time that the early 2000s when operating systems had no idea where they were going.
Yeah, I still remember some of them. Fucking, you had Windows 2000 or XP, and if you were on Macintosh, you were probably using Mac OS 9.
Yeah, the Macs. It's funny with Mac. I remember the first way I got internet, I had a Sega Saturn, and they sold a modem, a Sega
yeah.
Netlink.
Oh god, I'm getting horrible memories from that too.
And that thing plugged into the memory slot, a memory cartridge slot in the back of the Sega Saturn, and that was the first way I got internet. And I had that for like a couple of years until I was like, hey, look, I need a computer. You know, and my parents went like, all right, we'll go get you a computer. And they come back with this Macintosh Performa, and it was like on the box it said, you know, internet ready, you can surf the web, blah 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 blah. And I think that's the only reason my parents bought it, because it said internet on stuff on the box. And I wasn't like I forgot to mention like I wanted like a Windows computer, not like a Macintosh.
Right.
And I was like, oh shit, they got me a Mac. And the thing came with a modem that was incompatible with the computer, and it couldn't go on the internet. And I spent like an entire year trying to figure out how to get this computer to go on the internet, and it didn't work. So I just stuck with my Sega Saturn another year, and then eventually I got the IBM. But I was like, it was weird. I had a Mac that I couldn't do anything with. I could type like reports on it. That was about it.
Yeah. It's funny too, because people shit on the Mac. Like, they're like, oh, it's a bad computer. It's the worst computer ever made. I'm like, you fucking clearly have never used like the original Commodore PET or like the TRS 800. They were pretty not good computers, right? Like the Mac wasn't that bad, but the way it was one of the first computers to pioneer, like, you have to click on things, you can change fonts. I forget the actual term. Is it GUI display?
GUI.
Yeah. You know,
yeah,
but it revolutionized it.
Yeah, I ended up, when I was collecting vintage computers, I came across the same thing at a flea market, a Macintosh Classic, and it came with a mouse and a keyboard and everything. And at the time, I plugged it in, and I'm like, all right, this thing's cool. Like, you can move the mouse around, you can click, you can open windows and stuff. But I forgot to realize, like, when this came out, that was like 1985, 86, and
84.
Like,
yeah.
Something like that. And I'm like, just the sheer fact that this could even do this is mind-blowing at the time, you know? Because back then, you had BASIC or you had DOS, like...
Yeah.
So, yeah. Yeah, Commodore 64 was technically my first computer, because the same thing, I found it at a garage sale with a bunch of discs and everything, and I'm like, oh... And, like, I didn't have any instruction manual. I didn't even have the internet at the time, so I couldn't even, like, figure out, like, what the commands were. So I went through all the discs and, like, pieced together how to make the thing work, because sometimes the labels would say, like, load star.81 or load, or hit, you know. So I had to make, like, this, like, little list of commands that I pieced together by myself, just on the stickers on the discs, and I figured out how to run each one of them.
Right.
It was bizarre.
Yeah. The good old days of computers.
The old days, you had a lot of time on your hands and you figure those things out.
You had
Without the
8
internet.
hours to waste, and you were just sitting there in front of your fucking computer going, what happens when I type out "der"? Nobody knew what the fuck was happening.
No, let's try this. Does that work?
Days.
No. Okay,
Yeah.
let's try it.
Syntax error, syntax error, and you're like, what the fuck am I doing wrong?
Yep. I remember it was like a whole afternoon. It was about 3 or 4 hours. It's typing in basic codes. I found a book in the flea market about basic coding, and there was a synthesizer that you could program into the 64. And it was like pages and pages and pages, and I got it done. And then like you could play a little keyboard, like a piano with the keys on the thing. And the problem was I had no way of saving it. So once I shut the freaking thing off, it was gone. So I left it on for a couple days, so I had it.
Right.
But it was so much work.
Yeah. I remember any like keyboard programs, you know, like keyboard emulators that you would get for your computer. They'd always have like some sort of delay, like really minuscule. And it wasn't even delay. It was almost like a rubber band, almost.
Yeah.
So you'd go to click it, and then the key would like 3 seconds later go, and you're like, fuck shit. So then you have to treat your keyboard as a drum that's playing keyboard notes. So you don't listen to the keyboard. You just listen to the syncopation that you press your keyboard in.
That's it.
And it was just a shithole. You know? It was a hellhole to try to get that damn thing working.
Yeah, that was what caught me by surprise, because I remember when I got my IBM, and at the time back then, like they had the game port on the back of the computer that was for joysticks, but you could get a MIDI cable to plug into the game port. So at the time, I had a like Yamaha DX7, and I'm like, oh, dude, like I can use this to control virtual synths on the computer. And at the time, I had like Fruity Loops or whatever. Yeah. And I was like, this is awesome. And then I hook it all up, and the same thing. There was this horrible latency. And I'm like, what? There's something wrong here. But like, I didn't put 2 and 2 together, because back then computers just weren't fast enough. And I'm like, why isn't it doing it? Why is it so slow? And it's like, yeah, because the computer is only running at like 300 megahertz. I had 16 megabytes of memory. Like, it couldn't do it. And like, I kind of appreciate it now, because like I have native instrument stuff. I have the native instruments controller. I have the machine, and like, and the native instruments audio like interface and stuff. Right. And it's so fast that like it's instant now. And I still, like, every time I play virtual synths, I'm still like, wow, this just works. Like, this is what I wanted when I was like, 16, 17 years old. Like, but you just couldn't do it back then. And now it just works. Like, computers are finally fast enough. Yeah. And the same thing when I had I have a guitar, but I don't really play a lot of it. But the same thing, I was like, can you use the computer to do like effects instead of using effects pedals? Yeah. And forget it. You couldn't. That was not a thing. You could plug your guitar into the computer, and it wouldn't do it. Like, it couldn't do it. And now native instruments, they have a whole, you can do virtual amps, you can do virtual pedals, and any type of speaker you want. It's like, it's insane. Right. I play guitar too. I have a very nice Gibson Les Paul that I fucking love so much. Thanks, Dad. Love you so much. Yeah, but I remember that, we all fucking started. What guitar did you play? Like a Fender? A Squier? I had, I started with a Squier. Yeah. It was made out of like pressed cardboard, and eventually it fell apart. Yeah. But I have now I got it on sale. It was like on monoprice.com, and they were having like this liquidation sale, and I got like like this red, it looks like a Strat or something, but it's like, it was $90, and I'm like, that's good enough. I don't need anything fancy, because I don't really play guitars a lot.
Does it say Fender on the neck?
No, it says Monoprice right on the neck. Really? Yeah.
Oh, you got like a Chinese knockoff Strat? How much did you pay for it?
Cheap. It was $90 on sale. Shipped, free shipping. It looks nice. It's nice and shiny and red, and I'm like, oh, okay, it's fine.
Does it play nice at all?
Yeah.
When was the last time you played it?
Well, yeah, maybe I pick it up like 2 or 3 times a year if I need something to have like a guitar sound in it.
Right. Yeah. I understand that.
Skuro comes over and he plays it, so he uses it more than I do.
Yeah. I got a really nice Les Paul. I'm looking literally right behind myself to see what guitar I have. I have a Fender Strat, a Mexican Fender Strat. I have that Les Paul, and then I got a really nice Squire bass, early 90s Squire bass, you know.
Ah, nice.
And I run it through I can't read that. A Marshall head and cabinet amp. I like head and cabinets. I hate people who are like, solid state amp is the way to go, where they're all connected. And I'm like, no, that's not true. Because with the solid state amp, where it's all together, you can't switch out amps. You know? That's why I like the head and cabinets, because you can get rid of a head and just put a different head
speaker,
on. Yeah. I can understand how it's hard, though, too. Like, well, what's ohms? And I'm like, well, just fucking Google it. It's 2020. Google it. What do you mean, what's ohms?
It's ohms.
You know?
Yeah, it's always interesting. Like, if I like, sometimes I'll post something on Twitter or whatever, and then someone will ask me a question about something, and like, I don't mind answering questions if they have, you know, oh, what's this or blah blah. But then sometimes you get some questions. It's like it's easier, like what you just typed to me into Google, and it would tell you right away. Like, why are you asking me? Like,
what's the space bar key? I'm like, why the fuck are you asking me? It's dumb
take
shit
that
like
question, put it in Google.
Yeah. You know. Wow, it's been 41 minutes and we've only been talking about retro tech. I don't know how I'm gonna drag this on for an hour.
Matters, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fucking insane. I'm out of whiskey, and not like the bottle's empty, but like my cup's empty, but I don't have ice with me right now. Nor do I have whiskey rocks, and my pipe is empty. So
Running empty.
I got a shot glass. I could do a shot. I'm not gonna do a shot of whiskey right now though. I'll wait. You know. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Shit happens, you know. What was your first game system then?
Oh, it was Intellivision. That was my first one.
Really? An Intellivision?
Yeah. Yep. It technically wasn't mine. It was my grandfather's, and he lived with us, and he'd let me play it and stuff. So like I used to play Night Stalker and everything, and then like I remember Nintendo was the new, like Nintendo NES was like the big thing, and it was like you couldn't get it. Like there was no, like it was ripped off shelves. So I didn't get a Nintendo till like I got into like when I actually started like when I went into kindergarten I was 5. I remember when like I was really little playing with like Intellivision, but once I got into kindergarten, like my parents were like, okay, we'll get you a Nintendo because you're going to school now, and you know we'll shut you up.
Yeah.
So I got NES, and then that was officially the first system that I owned that was mine personally. So
yeah. I'm gonna assume then you were born between the years 75 and 84.
Oh, close. Yeah. I was born 1983. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, so it was like 88. I started going to school, and but yeah, it was the whole concept of gaming was completely different back then. Like,
it was. Yeah.
Because there was no internet. I remember like the biggest stressing thing was your parents. Like I remember parents taking me to Toys R Us to go get a video game, and like back then you didn't have internet, so you didn't know what games are good, what games are crap. It was like you went there, and the way Toys R Us used to sell video games, it was just like these cards hanging on a wall with a laminated sheet with the front and back of the box, and then like you would just look at this box and go, "Is this good? Is this bad? I don't know." And then like look. And you'd flip these cards over, looking at like the games, and then like you take a little slip of paper, and then take that to the register and ring it up, and then you'd go through the register, and then there was a guy behind in a booth behind glass that would like slip you the game. Like it was such this like momentous occasion when you were a kid getting a video game, and if it was crap, you played that crappy game for like months because you weren't getting another one.
Yeah, like, all they had were like catalogs, so. It was just based off of one guy's like idea of the game, like, yeah, it's okay, and then but what they don't mention is like it's made by LJN or some fucking horrible company, you know, and then they take it home and they're like, I don't remember, why is this game total dog shit? Oh, fuck you, Sears, you know, or like fuck you, KB Toys or whatever toy company was around in 1980. Yeah,
KB. I bought the Atari Jaguar, brand new
KB Toys.
KB Toys, brand new in the box, because they were axing the system and they were like, we got to get rid of all this crap. Like, it's junk, no one wants it. So I think I got like the Atari Jaguar and like 5 games and the AV cable, and I think it came to like $120. And I was like, oh, this is sweet. And I took all this shit home and I was playing it. I'm like, this is crap. This is all these games are crap. But now it's got like this weird resurgence because everybody's like, this thing is cool if you got like a Jaguar. And I'm like, yeah, it's nothing really.
You can totally blame the angry video game nerd for that too.
Yeah.
Because you fucking like, it looks like a toilet, take a shit in it. You know, and they're like, oh, I want an Atari Jaguar now.
I want that now, you know?
Yeah. I fucking have a Sega CD, and that was the same reason why, too, because, like, Angry Video Game Nerd reviewed it, and I was like, I want a Sega CD now. That sounds cool. Yeah. They're awesome.
Yeah, it's weird. Sega CD was, like, the most excited I ever got for a console. Like, I remember, you know, getting Nintendo and getting Super Nintendo and Genesis, but for some reason, when Sega CD came out, that was, like, the first thing that really, like, I was like, oh my god, I need this, because it was, like, a console that attaches to a console that you have that makes it even better, you know?
You can play games on a CD! Yeah.
So, like, I got that for Christmas of 94, and I was so excited. I actually, like, got physically sick unwrapping it at Christmas time. I was like, oh my god, they got me Sega CD. Like, I was so ecstatic, and I got that. And it was like, that was my first CD player. That was everything. Like, that was amazing.
Yeah, it's fucking amazing. It's a good console. Like, people shit on it, and I understand, it had a pretty small library, but if you look past all the games that were full motion video in quotation marks, and you look at, like, Snatcher, or Sonic CD, or Wolfchild, you know, those are fucking decent games, you know?
Yeah, Wolfchild's good. Sonic CD, to this day, is still my favorite Sonic game. Like, I absolutely love Sonic CD. I play that, like, every couple of months or so. I'll just, you know, pop it in and play.
And the so startup theme, depending on what version you had, just that banana da 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 da.
Yeah, my cousin had the front loader one, which I thought looked way cooler. But then I found out, like,
for
they were
the early Genesis, Model 1 Genesis.
Yeah, and I wanted to get that one because my cousin had it, and I was like, but then by the time I got mine, it was like a year or two later, and it was the side loader one. But the front loaders all died, every single one of them. Yeah. So I'm kind of glad I didn't get that one.
The only issue with the CD is that the the drive, I literally just opened it up to try to identify which fucking part breaks the easiest. The laser system, like the drive panel on it, gets fucked so easily. And of course, you know, I'm pretty sure Sega knew about that. Of course. They'll fucking ship anything, you know.
I don't think Sega was planning on people holding on to them for 30 years, 20 years.
But they made so many replacement parts. That's why you can find Sega CD replacement parts for like $5, and you're like, oh god, okay, sweet, you know. Yoink! I'll put that shit in my Sega CD. Oh, it's working brand new, you know.
Yeah, the one thing I haven't, out of all the systems I have, nothing is broken except my 3DO, and I'm really pissed off about that. And I tried multiple times fixing it, and it's just dead. I don't know. It's like, you might have to replace all the caps in it or something, and I'm like, I don't have time for that.
The only console I ever broke was a Model 1 Xbox 360. The one, you know, Red Ring of Death. It was you could fry an egg on it because it was so fucking horrible. But then again, it was the Model 1, so... Yeah. And then I got the Model 2, which worked slightly better. But then I remember going back to the Model 1. I don't remember why, though. I just went back to it. I was like, oh, yeah, Model 1 Xbox.
Yeah,
and
sure,
I still have that Model 1 to this day. It still works.
Yeah.
It has
I still have mine.
red ringed of death or anything.
I have mine with the external HD DVD player.
Yeah, they're fucking insane.
Yeah, I remember I ended up spending an extra $100 and getting the Elite system because it was black, and because like all the stuff on my TV thing was everything's black. My PS3 was black, the stereo's black, the TV's black, and then like at the time I didn't buy Xbox 360 just because it was white, and I'm like, that's gonna look like shit in my stereo cabinet. So like, then when the Elite came out, I was like, okay, now I can buy 360. They have a black console. Like,
yeah, it's insane. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm slowly gravitating away from consoles. I was always a hardcore console gamer, and then
yeah, and then the computer, the super race, punches you in the face, and you're like, "Damn, wow!"
Yeah, the only reason I started switching to computers was I have a Logitech G27 steering wheel, and I used to play Gran Turismo on PS3 with the thing, and I'm like, "This is fine. I love this. It's got a clutch pedal, it's got a shifter, it's a great steering wheel." And then PS4 comes out, and I'm like, "Okay, cool. It's USB. We'll just plug right in." And they deliberately designed the wheel, or PS4 was like, it's not going to work. It will never work. The chips are different, and you have to buy another Logitech wheel to use the PS4 games. And I'm like, what do you mean? I just spent like $200 on this wheel like a year ago, and now you're telling me I have to buy something if I want to use anything on PS4. So then I was like, Project Cars was coming out, and I'm like, all right, fuck this. I'm going to build a computer now, and I could use this wheel on anything I want going forward. So that's what happened. So just because of the steering wheel, it's gravitated me towards PC gaming.
Yeah, you know, I'm now at the point where if I play a game, I'm just automatically bored by it. And I'm like, no, I don't want to be like this. I love video games. Oh, God. And, you know, I'm like, I only play the games that were released between the years 2014 and like 1979. I don't play anything new. And then, but you get so bored of it after a while that I haven't even booted up the Sega in like, what, 4 years now? It's been a while since I fucking played that thing. I recently just played SNES, though, so I guess it's not that bad. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, I think because there's just a volume of games now. Like, there's just so much coming out. And then the same thing, I'll buy a game, even on Steam, I'll buy a game on Steam and play it for like a couple days and go, okay, and I'm good. And I never even beat the damn thing. And I'll go off and like look for something else that's on sale and go, oh, okay, and buy that and play it for like a day. But,
I'm so similar to that too. Except I don't. The only difference is I don't buy a game. I'll buy a game, play it, never pick it up ever again. I'll go for a walk, and I'm like, the sun looks really nice today. I'll just completely fucking forget about the game that I spent $40 on. You know?
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's by the way. But yeah, the same thing. I have the two consoles. I got like PS4 and the Xbox One, and I barely touch them. The only thing I use the Xbox One for is a UHD player, because it was cheaper than buying a standalone UHD player. Yeah, I was like, you know, it was weird. I was like, how much is a UHD player? Oh, it's like $3.99. How much is an Xbox? Like $2.99 or $3. You know, and I was like, all right, I'll just get the Xbox, I guess.
Yeah, it's insane. We're 53 minutes in, and I can't think of anything else to say, but I want to get it to at least an hour.
Oh yeah, we can do this. We got this. This is nothing.
So when did you join the fandom?
Oh, that was spring of 2009, and I was watching videos on YouTube, and the same thing, like at the time I found furries in 99, and there were some videos and some pictures of, you know, conventions, and it was kind of weird. It was like, all right, there's a bunch of guys standing around looking at a picture of like Bugs Bunny or something, you know, and I'm like, I don't know. Yeah. And then I went back on YouTube and was searching around, and I'm like, oh dude, it's like a big party now. Like that's what I was looking for. This is great. Fine, I'll do this. And I was watching Tilt Longtail's videos. Yeah. And his stuff is crazy. And I'm like, this guy's nuts. I love it, you know? So I reached out to him on LiveJournal, and they were going to the Dudop parade in South Jersey that like in a month or week or something. And he's just like, "Oh yeah, come on down, hang out." And I was like, "All right." And then I went down and like met everybody, and I'm like, "This is freaking awesome." We were hanging out in a hotel, motel, partying and stuff. And then a couple months later, I went to Anthrocon '09. That was my first convention, and it was bizarre because I went there and I'm running around like a maniac, and two of my local friends were friends with Dragoneer, and at the time he was the owner and operator of Fur Affinity, and he's like, "Oh," they were like, "Oh, you want to meet our friend, Dragoneer?" And I'm like, "Okay," and I'm running around like an idiot, and Near meets me, and he's like, "Oh my god, like this is what I want Fender to be like," and I was like, "What? I don't know what you're talking about," and I just ran away, like. Whatever. And later on, Near was like, "Hey, like, do you want to be Fender?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, we're looking for someone to mascot for Affinity." And I'm like, all right, I'll think about it. And then like after the convention was over, I went home and I was like going on for Affinity, and I was like, "Holy shit, like that's the mascot like on the front page of Fur Affinity." And a year later, we worked with White Wolf Creations, and she made the Fender fursuit, and I've been suiting as Fender since 2010. So like, it's this weird thing. Like, it just all snowballed really fast within like a year, and I was on staff for FAU and was doing stuff for the fursuit games and the fursuit parade, and then I was doing my YouTube channel, and like everything was just like going nuts. And yeah, it was the first couple of years, and then it was crazy, and then I ended up getting my other suit from Jill Costumes, the Coopertom suit, and so it was crazy, crazy time, but yeah, it was fun.
I had to Google it because I've never seen this. I recently just got a Fur Affinity account because I wasn't around when it started to blow up, and I instantly regret Googling Fender Fur Affinity because it's for them. Let's see. All right. First picture is just a ref sheet of like the character. Second, that's inflation. That's epic. Cool. I don't want to see that, Oh, that's what is that? A hard anal? Oh, epic. Cool. I'm gonna exit out before my eyes start to bleed.
Yeah, that's the thing with Fender. The Fender character, it's just open, like like because when I started suiting, the character was already around for like 4-5 years or something like that, and so like it's just free reign. So there's like a bunch of stuff in there, like out there, and it was crazy. It was hilarious actually. This past MFF, there was a guy that made a giant cheese grater outfit thing,
the picture,
and he was running around in this cheese grater, and unfortunately at the time while I was there, I could never meet up with him for a picture. It never happened. I was in a wrong suit. I was in Cooper when there's a picture of me in Cooper with the cheese grater, but there was never one with Fender, unfortunately. But I still
remember seeing that picture in like middle school and just getting scarred for life. You're like, watch 2 Girls 1 Cup, and you're like, okay, and then like, oh, that's disgusting, and then they're like, watch 4 Girls Finger Painting, and you're like, oh god, watch Lemon Party, and then they're like,
oh my god,
watch the Fender dude getting a cheese grater up his ass, and you're like, oh god. Pour rubbing alcohol on my eyes. Oh god, the good old days of the fucking internet. Yeah. That shit's insane, though. That you made that character. You basically invented the icon of Fur Affinity. Meanwhile, I'm sitting in my room, flunked out of high school, talking about gaming consoles that haven't been relevant since 1970, It's insane.
It's like I didn't really invent it in a way. I just manifested it. It like is in a physical form, like because it's always just been a drawing. And when I started suiting as Fender, people were like, "Oh my god, like it's real! I can actually like hug the character and stuff." And I'm like, "Yeah." But
you still have that Fender suit?
Oh yeah, yeah,
Oh.
yeah. I bring him to every con I go to, and but as far as like in person, like I'm more kind of rough around the edges with Cooper, but as Fender, I am totally like, you know, PR, like, hey, how's it going? Blah blah blah. You know, and I don't say anything like raunchy. I am like squeaky clean with that character when I'm walking around.
Right.
And it's, I mean, you know, compared to like what is out there, you know, people drawing all crazy stuff. But as far as that character at a convention, it is like basically like Mickey Mouse at Disney World. Like nothing's gonna, you'll just get a hug and a picture, you know, with that character.
Yeah. It's insane, man. I'd fucking love to meet you at a con if I ever go to one. It's a struggle,
Someday.
you know. I lack
now
them
the way things are.
greens, you know.
Yeah, when I go to cons and stuff, it's basically I have like a jar of like change I throw in. I'm like, oh, that's $1. Throw it in this jar, and I'll just like use that to go to cons because like it gets expensive sometimes, especially if you don't plan it right. Like, but sometimes like if you can figure out like, all right, like 10 people are gonna load in a Suburban and go cross country to a con, and it's only gonna cost you like $90 if you know pitching in, and you're sleeping in a room with 6 other people, so the room's only going to cost you like another $120, and like you can get away with it cheap if you just, you know, you're willing to cram in with other people.
Right, you know. It's insane. I feel like on my end though, it's my social anxiety would just get in the way 24/7. I'd be like, can I go? I have $5 in my wallet and 2 cents on my debit card. Am I good? Okay to, you know, to go? And they're like, you're gonna need a little bit more than $5.02 to fucking hang out. And I'm like, you know, damn.
Yeah.
Better rob Cassandra down the fucking road. You know. Yeah. I just you know, but social anxiety has always been an issue with me because I have such a hard time talking to people.
You're talking to me. I'd say
yeah, but I'm also shit-faced. This isn't the first glass of whiskey I had, you know.